Welcome to this new episode of my vinyl review. Today we speak about Chaz Jankel. He's a musician, a composer, and a producer that I like a lot. He has more than 40 years of career, probably 50. He's amazing. The music he's done inspired me a lot, both as a producer and as a composer. It's incredibly connected as well. He met Quincy Jones and a lot of incredible artists during his career. As we know, he has an early professional experience with a band, a prog rock band called Byzantium that was also psychedelic and progressive to a certain extent. Early 70s, this band published 3 albums and 4 singles, and performed in one of John Peel session. For more on John Peel, check on internet. He's an incredible avid collector and connoisseur of music of all types and very good quality music. Jankel, at some point in his career, met Ian Dury in an instrument shop in Shepherd's Bush, and he'd been to the shop to buy a Wurlitzer piano, which I have here, and it's an amazing electronic piano. And having purchased it, he left a message saying that he was looking for gigs, and after a while has been contacted, and poof, that's how things happen in between musicians and people who are looking for a collaboration. He met Ian Dury after a while. At this time, he and Ian Dury started doing the pub circuit, because in London, there are a lot of pubs that offer music live, so the pub circuit is simply going from pub to pub and play. And during this period, Chaz decided to start co-writing some songs with Jan. And the first song that they came together with was Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll. At some point in his career, he fell in love with funk. And at some point, he came out with a track which I think is sung by Young Dury, and most of you may know, is Wake Up and Make Love to Me. This is a song that became a classic in the DJ set of DJ Mozart, Lebreo, Daniele Baldelli, and many other DJs in the Italian cosmic scene. It was 1978, and disco was still the main fuel for countless of cosmic tracks that were played in gigs by various Italian DJs. London as well was full of R&B and funk by this time, and full of disco, of course, because 77, 78 and 79 are 77 is the time where there is a peak of disco. We can hear the song Wake Up and Make Love to Me in many tapes from cosmic DJs of the time, and it's a song that nowadays in London still some DJs play in the warm-up and in some DJ sets where there is a lot of disco. The year after, in 79, Ian Dury and the Blockheads co-wrote with Jankel Reasons to Be Cheerful, Part 3. There is a 12-inch, which you can buy on Discogs. It's an amazing percussive track that I played in Shoreditch at the beginning of the new millennium when I was in a band called Tuttomato. It's an amazing track. Under the influence of disco, Ian Dury and the Blockheads co-wrote with Jankel, which was of course part of the Blockheads, Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick, disco version. And here we come with the same issue that you observe probably in connection with many other bands, which is that there is one member who is a lot, like in this case Chaz Jankel, into Earth, Wind and Fire, Rolls Royce, funk and disco, etc. And the another section of the band where musicians are more oriented on punk and rock. And what comes out is a synthesis of the two genres. And Hit Me With Your Rhythm Stick as both parts, disco parts and both some punky, rocky parts. And they fuse together in a record which is very interesting, both in terms of style, both in terms of arrangement, and also in terms of rhythm and production. These tracks show many aspects of this prolific songwriter and performer. The piano, for example, is arranged beautifully, and there are loads of interesting blues licks. There is also a wonderful sax solo in the central part of the song, which is absolutely great. Here you can listen to the arrangement of Chaz Jankel and feel what he felt when he has arranged and co-written with songs with Ian Dury. Like in many productions by Ian and Dury, you can listen to a fusion of influences: punk rock, rock, pop rock, and disco funk. This is very interesting because for all the career of Chaz Jankel, this element will be a fixed element in the majority of its production, and Ian Dury and Chaz Jankel put together these styles and these genres in an impeccable way. And the arrangement is always tight and keep the people on the floor. I remember when I used to play Reasons to be Cheerful and other tracks from Chaz Jankel on the floor in London in early 2000, and people kept dancing and dancing and dancing. Then there is the track that went on The Dude, I No Corrida, which is a song inspired by a film called The Realm of the Senses. Beautifully produced and beautifully composed. It is a song that also went onto Quincy Jones' album The Dude with the same title, and performed by the best musician in the world. It's one of my favorite songs. I have to admit this subjective element, and is probably the best song produced by Chaz Jankel in my opinion, and also the together with Glad to Know You, it's one of the most famous, which thanks also to Quincy Jones remained in history. There is another interesting song made around this time called 3000 Synths, which is based on the concept of groove. It has a few synths on top, and it reminds Funkin' for Jamaica by Tom Brown in the bass line. Here you can listen a fully programmed lean drum by Mr. Jankel in an impeccable electro-funk style. If I ever had a word on or a voice on what sample library I would like to create or to make existing, for sure I would ask Mr. Jankel to make one. As I said, the bass line sounds like Funkin' for Jamaica, but the general atmosphere of the song is really left field. Then Jankel produced with some co-writing with Ian Dury, Glad to Know You. The drums, for example, here are very interesting. They are played live by Peter Van Hook, and they were triggering a lean drum. Here Jankel played guitar and piano. In the mid-80s we have two productions from Jankel which I recommend, that are number one, dated 1985, and You're My Occupation, issued the following year. First one is co-written by Ian Dury and is another piece of happy music, beautifully arranged, including pop, R&B and tons of expensive synth. You're My Occupation is not short than amazing, and also show how from simplicity, a couple of synth chords on a drum machine pattern, you can evolve a track to something like a mini composition with a complex structure that includes several layers of parts and very well programmed arpeggios. The bridge that explodes mid-track is stunning, and it ends with an harmonic climax emphasized by an arpeggio, with one of the most fascinating arrangements for a pop dance record. In conclusion, Glad to Know You, I No Corrida, You're My Occupation, and many more other records produced by Jankel are absolutely incredible. I love this producer. I have most of his records, and I recommend to you to listen to them and to check them on Discogs. Thank you very much for having checked these episodes on Chaz Jankel. Next episode I might talk about Talking Loud and come back to Incognito, or deal with some Blue Note records that I wanted to review from a very long time. As you can see on my back, there are so many other records and producer I want to talk about, and I'm just learning on how to produce these episodes in English, because they come from an Italian version. I have a channel where I produce episodes in Italian from a very long time, from 2009, and now I wanted to try to make a few of them in English to see if it works or not. Of course, please be patient. This is just the beginning. The future episodes for sure will be much better than these ones. I'm just getting the hook of it. I'm just doing some practice, and shortly you'll have a much more complicated episodes. I'm planning, in fact, to do an episode where I deal with major labels and mafia and MCA and Sugar Hill Connection, which is something that I've read in the past, and it's very interesting to talk about it now because it reflects some times that are not so many different from now. Thank you very much for listening to my reviews, and of course, if you have any comment, please feel free to comment and let me know of anything. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.